What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another video here on the channel of Review and Preview Sports, and I'm joined by a reoccurring special guest, the one, the only Sporty Jordy. Jordan, how are you today? It is wild out there in the NBA world.
Yeah, no, it's an exhausting day today, but at the end of the day, I am beyond elated with everything that went down. Obviously, major news, Ben Simmons out of the city of Philadelphia, so there's nothing really to complain about here.
Absolutely. Before we dive into that, can you tell people the several platforms you podcast on and where people can find your work and content?
Yeah, definitely. So all my social medias, you can find me at the Sporty Jordy on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. That's where I am primarily. My YouTube channel is Sporty Jordy. I post weekly videos there. And I also host a couple podcasts as well. I host Fantasy Underdogs with Sam Cardona, who I know is a big part of what you guys do here. So we do that every Sunday morning. I also host a show called Onside Chicks that streams to the Liberty Line Twitch account on Tuesday evenings. And then I am the social media manager for the sports betting app called Uda. And you can find them at Uda_winner, UDDA, for all of that content as well.
Awesome. So you're very busy. Shout out to you for making the time to put in all that work. And what's the reaction like in Philly right now? Because I know a lot of people, they wanted to get rid of Ben Simmons, and now that he's finally gone, what was your reaction when you saw this trade go down here today?
I was just immediately shaking. And it was so funny for me because for work, this has been something that we've been covering very heavily. And we had a lot of NBA trade talk. So there was part of me that was like, all right, I have to go into work mode and I have to do my job and do that. But the fan in me was like literally shaking and my phone was blowing up in a mix from people that follow Sporty Jordy and then just friends from home. And it was like literally all at once. Like my phone was just like bing, bing, bing. And it was headlines, tweets, and then people reaching out. So it was so much. But for the first time in a very long time, the vibe in Philadelphia was just overall happiness. It was like this weight has been lifted off because Ben Simmons, even the people that liked Ben Simmons and were kind of still in Ben Simmons' corner, which it was a very small circle leading up to this point, but even the people that were still fans of him understand how big of a deal this trade is. And at the end of the day, it's like universally everyone is pleased. So I think Daryl did a great job. I'm super thrilled with the deal. I obviously had to rep my Matisse Thybulle jersey right now because I am a big fan of his, and I was super, super scared that he was going to be included in the deal along with Tyrese Maxey. I was thrilled with the deal that they did put together. So overall, the vibes are immaculate.
And that's awesome because this trade puts Philadelphia towards the top of the East right now. And let's break down the full trade itself because it wasn't just the Harden for Simmons deal.
Yes.
Harden and veteran forward Paul Millsap head to Philadelphia for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. So I think this trade works well for both teams because Philadelphia gets their star player, complimentary to Joel Embiid.
Yep.
And it was rumored, obviously, we all know Harden wanted out of Brooklyn, and Brooklyn gets a player who could bring elite defense to their team, which is what they were missing. They currently have a part-time player in Kyrie, and Durant is hurt, so they really don't have anybody. So this could be an uplifting thing for them as well. And I think the problem was Brooklyn was starting to run into that trap they ran into a decade ago, where they got all those pieces, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Darren Williams, and they had no future. Now getting these 2 first-round draft picks is huge. So overall, I think this trade works out for both teams. But
I agree.
I've got to say, it's a disappointing end for that Brooklyn super team. It was kind of sad if you think they only played 16 games together for 1.5 seasons.
Yeah. No, I think there was so much hype around it and everyone expected so much, but there was so many circumstances that kind of ripped them apart in regards to Kyrie's situation and then injuries. And it's just been a hot mess, basically. But I think at the end of the day, kind of like what you were saying, this feels like a very even trade for both teams. Like both teams are getting the pieces that they need in order to improve and give them a better chance at going for that title. So I think at the end of the day, it's pretty nice.
I know you're a big Matisse Thybulle fan, but
Yeah.
I've got to say, Daryl Morey stated that he would maintain his stance on not trading Ben Simmons unless it yielded a championship caliber return. And I think a lot of
Mhm.
people thought, oh, this player might be included in that trade. And as you mentioned a few moments ago, but he wasn't. And it was simply just a veteran um, in Ben Simmons and Seth Curry and Andre Drummond, three players that weren't on the Sixers for very long. I know Simmons
Mhm.
has been there the longest out of all of them, but I've got to say, I'm not shocked because Morey was in charge of the Rockets when Harden was there and developed into an MVP caliber player. So I can't say this is necessarily a prize, but you want to talk about an uplift from, I think the Sixers are in fifth place in the East right now, but
Mhm.
that means nothing because the top five teams are within like, what is it, two games of each other?
Literally.
Yeah.
But
But
no, I think at the end of the day, I was saying the whole time I wanted Ben Simmons, Seth, and a first. However, you want it, like that's what I was comfortable giving away. And Drummond, it really, I don't think it's gonna benefit. Like he wasn't really doing anything to benefit nor hurt us. He was just kind of there. So that really didn't bother me at all, especially since we got that extra piece with Millsap as well. I think that also balanced it. But the one thing I think why I'm really so stoked about this trade is we traded two firsts, yeah, but we have these two young guys in Thibault and Maxey. And there was one deal I saw tweeted out earlier this week that was like the Nets were asking for Thibault, Maxey, and Simmons. And I was like, absolutely not. Like that basically wipes us clean. And yeah, we'd get Harden, but then we'd still have these other holes to fill. So I think this trade gives us the best way of we have these younger guys. Thibault, incredible on defense, still has to work on his offense, definitely, but he's so young and so eager. I think he still has room to grow. So that I'm really excited about. Maxey has just been an absolute beast, and we know how young he is and the relationship he's building with Joel. I think to kind of keep that and bringing James Harden in on top of that, I think it's that perfect balance of young energy and these veteran all-stars that I think is going to work out really well for us. And we also still have some depth as well. So I think I'm pretty sure Sixers odds they were shortened from plus 1100 to win a title to the lowest I saw was plus 550. So I think everyone acknowledges how big this is. And there's definitely like a roar in the city right now. Everyone's enjoying it.
not to mention Tobias Harris as well. You mentioned depth pieces. Danny Green, Furkan Korkmaz is another
Mhm.
player who can shoot the three. I mean, this team is stacked. It's
Yeah.
definitely very scary. I don't know who's going to stop them. Outside of my team, I don't know if anybody else has a shot. I am a Bucks fan from New York, so this definitely concerns me just a little bit. But um, the Sixers do lose some shooting, but I don't think it's going to hurt them too much. As I just mentioned, you have Danny Green, who has
Mhm.
NBA championship experience. Um, Harden, it was also confirmed that he will opt into his 47.3 million player option next season. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot.
But the interest, Jordan, it wasn't just this season, it was last season as well. I feel like the interest between him and Philly has been buzzing for a while
Yes.
now.
This has been going on for like a year. That's why I think as trade rumors were heating up, like this whole week has been so beyond frustrating. That's why when I initially saw Woj's tweet, I like didn't even believe it at first. And I had his notifications turned on this whole week, just keeping my eye out for what was going to happen. And especially for work, I wanted to make sure we were on top of that to get that up as quick as possible. But when I initially saw the tweet, I was like, there's no way they got it done. I remember my friend texted me at like 1 o'clock this afternoon and was like 2 hours. And I was like, plenty of time. And then like literally 15, 20 minutes later, it all came through. But I think that was the frustrating part this whole week because it was like, it felt like it was heating up, but then we kind of had to take a step back and be like, well, this has been in talks for a very long time. So is this just headlines around the trade deadline heating up? Like, are people just looking for storylines or is there a chance that it actually comes through? So it feels like I said, it feels like a weight has been lifted off, and I'm really excited. And for the Bucks, we talked about this earlier. Obviously, diehard Sixers fan, but I'm a huge Giannis fan. Minus all Sixers players, he is someone I just absolutely adore. And the Bucks actually play in Philadelphia the day before my birthday, so that is a game I'm going to try to get to.
Awesome. And I hope you enjoy that game. Obviously, I don't hope that the Sixers win it, but Milwaukee and Philly, those are clearly the top two teams. All due respect to the Bulls right now. I think
Who are
Philadelphia,
great.
yeah, they are great. DeMar DeRozan is a machine.
Yeah.
And they got Vukovic there. They got a lot of good pieces, Zach LaVine. But I'm just looking at what ultimately led to this James Harden deal. I think not only was it Irving being a part-time player, Durant has been hurt. Joe
Yeah.
Harris has been hurt. So you're missing, if we include Kyrie being a part-time player, 2.5 out of your 5 starters. That doesn't pose well for James Harden. And I think you're getting a great offensive player who's a really good shooter, really good scorer. I mean, he's been improving with his defense and his passing throughout the course of his career. He's getting like 10 assists a game.
Yeah.
Remember when he was back in OKC and Houston, everybody was saying, this guy doesn't pass the ball. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that.
He's
Now,
definitely matured.
he has. And I want to ask you, what is Brooklyn getting in Ben Simmons? Obviously, this guy's a 3-time All-Star, great defense, playmaker, and passer. But for those people in the New York area, we know Simmons hasn't played this year, right?
No.
What is Brooklyn getting in Ben Simmons?
So I think, and this is where it's going to be a toss up, because I think if Ben Simmons goes into Brooklyn and plays to the best of his ability, they are getting someone who's going to be a star and going to stay a star for a very long time. And that's something I've been having. I've had this conversation a lot with Sixers fans. And I'm like, I fully understand that when we send Ben Simmons away, we are going to watch him pop off if he puts his all into his play. And that's something I was willing to accept just because he's holding us back so much. Like, yeah, we can keep him here and hold him hostage, but if there's this toxic energy, if things aren't right, it's not going to do anything but hold us back. It's dead weight. So I was like, send him away, let him do what he does. He's the one thing he needs to work on, and this is something he needed to work on with us, was his shooting. Like, and the thing was, I think what held us back is he just wasn't even going for it. And this is what I was saying the whole time. I defended Ben Simmons. It was literally up until the layup, game 7 against the Hawks, where I defended Ben Simmons. And then once he didn't go for that shot, and it was like, blew our season, I was like, you know what? That's it. I don't want to see you play another game in Philadelphia. I'm done defending you. And just because I kept saying, I was like, if he was shooting the ball and missing, but he was at least trying to work on his game. One, if he kept making the shots, even if he was missing them, you would see his game start to improve. And then it would get better and better and everyone would be happier. So I think that's kind of what he has to take going into Brooklyn. Philly's a very tough city to play for, so I think he should have a much easier time there. It's kind of a new identity. He can rebuild that star presence, but I do think he will be super beneficial to them if he goes out there, because they also, even if he isn't shooting, they also have guys who can shoot and get that done. So, especially once everyone's healthy. So, I do think it puts them in a good position. Or worst case scenario for them, he pulls for them what he did here, just being an absolute diva, and then they're screwed. But I don't see that being the case. And I'm hoping it does work out for them. I don't want to see Ben Simmons just have this terrible career, but yeah, I'm happy to have him out of Philadelphia at least.
Oh, absolutely. I hope Simmons and Harden enjoy their opposite trips up and down the New Jersey Turnpike.
Yeah, no, we're only about like an hour and a half away from each other too. It's
Yeah.
literally just like swapping.
That 90, 100-mile drive. But
yeah,
you mentioned Giannis before, how you're a big Giannis fan. Giannis had these similar issues that Ben Simmons had earlier on in his career. And you look at Giannis now, he's good for 1-3 a game. His foul shooting has improved drastically. I mean, he's in the gym late at night working on that stuff. And
exactly. That's just the kind of ethic that we didn't get from Ben Simmons. Like, he just kept saying, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better. And I never saw him take the time. And obviously we don't know what happens behind the scenes, but from my understanding, he wasn't taking the time and he wasn't putting in the time that Giannis was to get better, to improve. So I'm hoping maybe he realizes, all right, this is my fresh start. Let me be the best version of myself, but we'll see what happens.
I know, as a Bucks fan, Philly local Dante DiVincenzo was shipped out to Sacramento today. So a little bit upset about that, but happy with the return that we got. So it is very possible we may be seeing a Milwaukee-Philadelphia Eastern Conference final, which I think if both teams stay healthy, That is likely to happen. So
Yeah.
any thoughts on that?
I mean, that is something I would absolutely love to see, and it would definitely be hard for me because last year I was hardcore once Sixers were out, I was hardcore rooting for the Bucks because of my love for Giannis. I was like, if Sixers can't do it, I want Giannis to be able to get it. So it would definitely be it would hurt my soul a little bit because I would have to, no offense, hardcore root against them because
Right.
obviously I mean, last year everything was in the cards. It was like this is the Sixers year. Like we basically, at least in Philly, I don't know how the rest of the league looked at it, but everyone here thought like we had it in the bag. So I think that's why it was so heartbreaking as well. So I think now that we've kind of had this fall and then all the drama with Ben Simmons, but now we finally got to this point. I mean, imagine how explosive and how competitive a Bucks Sixers Eastern Finals would be. It would be unreal.
Giannis, Middleton, Holiday against Drew Holiday is a former Sixer.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? And Grayson Allen, Bobby Portis. I mean, our starting lineup. I mean, our starting lineup's pretty stacked as well. So that'll be an interesting series to say the least. But Jordan, any final thoughts here before we wrap this one up? James Harden heading to Philadelphia. I can't believe I'm saying that.
It feels so surreal. Like you said, it's been a long time coming. The rumors have been circulating for a very long time, and I just can't believe they made us wait till literally like 1:30, an hour and a half before the deadline came to an end. But I'm very grateful, and see ya, Ben Simmons. Thanks for nothing.
Folks, that was the Sporty Jordy. I'm Tom Scavetta here on Review and Preview Sports. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and continue to watch as the NBA trade deadline is officially over. Thank you all very much.